If you're ever reading about games for the 32X, this one is bound to catch your attention. A game about a hummingbird. Kolibri was published by Sega in 1995 and developed by Novatrade, the same people who created most of the Echo the Dolphin games. It is essentially an above-water Echo the Dolphin game with elements from shoot-'em-ups in it. In case you're wondering where the name comes from, it is simply a word for hummingbird that many languages use. The story is that a dark crystal has fallen from space and has lodged itself underground. It is slowly poisoning the earth, turning many of the plants and animals into evil plants and animals. You get drafted to fight this menace by a non-evil crystal that hopes to make the earth pure again. A lot of effort was made to make the game look beautiful. Using the extra colors given by the 32X, the programmers created a landscape that resembles a painting. And thanks to some parallax scrolling, the scenery looks like it goes on for miles into the background. Music in the game is soft and unintrusive. The peaceful mood is somewhat dashed by the fact that the game is crawling with bugs. Worms, wasps, ladybugs, ants, and spiders. There's also some stationary enemies and a few other obstacles that will kill you instantly. Some creatures are actually not out to kill you, like this guy who opens up doors. You'll also see your own species, who in the first stage, for some reason, block you from getting nectar from the flowers. There are 19 stages to conquer in Kolibri. Some of the stages automatically scroll, like in traditional shoot-'em-ups. A few of the stages will have you clearing bugs away from the flowers, allowing the hummingbirds to come back and feed, the same hummingbirds that hated you a minute ago. The majority of the stages involve finding your way out of a maze. These stages feel like they were meant to be puzzling, but with just a little bit of problem solving, you'll find your way out without racking your brain too much. When you get hit by an enemy, tiny birds will appear around you, telling you how many hits you can take before dying. A few things will kill you instantly, like getting swallowed. A big problem I have with this game has to do with the enemies. I already mentioned they are mostly bugs. The thing is, a lot of them move around in ways that make them impossible to avoid. Cheap hits happen throughout the whole game. It doesn't help that the hummingbird moves in a jerky way, making precise dodging impossible. Adding to the problem is the fact that the enemies respawn with just the slightest movement of the screen. The developers seem like they wanted to protect you from the cheap hits, because they give you the ability to surround yourself with an energy shield, and there's also rings laying around that give you an extra hit. Both of these prove to be lifesavers. Another problem I had with the game is the weapon selection. The weapons that only shoot forward are pretty much useless, since they leave you vulnerable to attacks from above and below. The weapons you'll be clamoring for are the ones with heat-seeking abilities, and even those can't keep up sometimes. Finding the best weapon is one thing, but holding onto it is another. The game is constantly spraying weapon pods everywhere, so a lot of times you'll get stuck with a crappy weapon right when you don't need it. Despite my complaints so far, I was able to get through the entire game without too much difficulty. I will say that the difficulty curve was a little erratic. Some of the stages I zipped through on the first try, while others had me stuck for an entire day. I remember Echo the Dolphin being the same way, so I think the designers wanted the difficulty to be up and down as opposed to steadily increasing like in most games. If the pressure of saving the Earth is too much for you, you can bring a friend to help. Playing co-op multiplies everything by 2. It has twice the number of cheap hits, but also twice the amount of firepower. If one player dies, you can resurrect them by finding the hummingbird pod. To have success in the co-op mode, both players will have to proceed very slowly, learning the stages together. So this isn't the type of co-op game you can just pop in and play casually when friends are over. It's best enjoyed by two hardcore retro gamers who want to work together to solve a difficult game. Back to the one-player mode. As I played the game, I couldn't help but think the game was missing something. Maybe it needed some boss battles. The only boss in the game was the dark crystal at the end, and I thought that was the funnest part of the game. Overall, the gameplay just needed to be more exciting. Mowing down generic enemies for 19 stages just doesn't do it for me. Kolibri is beautiful, but looks will only get you so far. The rating is coming up. I want to thank you for watching Gaming the Systems.